All right. Well, thank you, both of you, for being here and being present. I appreciate the support and the attendance, even though it's a beautifully sunny day. But um, the great thing about holding this space is that that sets that intention of just holding that space for yourself in some way. And so I had a feeling that I was like, it's going to be probably a low attendance today, but whether there was anybody or nobody, I was going to hold the space no matter what and see what comes about, whether it be somebody present or maybe it would just be myself, and I can give even maybe some relaxation and healing to myself. Yes, thank you for being here and being present, even though it is a beautiful day. So let's begin service. Let's take a moment to close our eyes and take a deep breath in. And exhale. Divine Parent, thank you for granting us the space of healing. And let us accept and open our minds and our hearts to this healing that we give ourselves, this healing that we receive from others, and this healing that we also receive from you, the universe, infinite light, divine parent. And thank you for bringing this healing energy to our minds and our bodies and our hearts, and let that healing take hold. Amen. All right. Ooh. So as you are familiar, most of you are with the Open Doorway Spiritualist principles, and I will read them along, and you, of course, may join me. We subscribe to the following principles. Number 1, infinite intelligence, the deity, the designing and creating energy for everything in the universe. Number 2, one universe, many dimensions. From one source came all that is present in our world, our galaxy, and beyond. Number 3, the immortal soul. The soul is eternal. We seek truth within ourselves, from other souls, from sacred writings, and from the natural order that sustains us. Number 4, communication between the material and the non-material world. Spirit transcends all dimensions. All souls, flesh and spirit, communicate with each other. Number 5, personal responsibility. Cause produces effect through thoughts, words, and deeds. We create ourselves and our circumstances, and we are singly responsible for our choices and creations. And finally, number 6, the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It is our highest morality. Okay. Well, with these healing services, when I'm presiding minister, I like to do sometimes a little bit of a talk and then get into meditation, or sometimes just meditation and forget the talking. But I'm going to just do a little talking and a little bit about what inspired this trip that I was talking to you both about, and really this push or this motivation. And I'm sure both of you have done this quite a bit, and especially in the last 3 years in Jamaica. You're surrounded by it, being on the farm in Vermont. But this need and this pressing feeling of being in nature, and how nature is the epitome of relaxation, at least for me, that I can attribute to deep, profound relaxation. And that has most definitely always been something that has followed me throughout my life. But it has never always been as important and loud, that voice, as it has been now in the recent years, in the last, I would say, 5-6 years, and really parallel to my spiritual journey and my spiritual awakening through being in this space, encountering like-minded individuals, like-hearted individuals, developing my own intuition. It just paralleled that journey really step by step. The more I advanced, the more I grew spiritually, the more and more I craved nature. And some years ago, in that very beginning of my spiritual journey, I was seeing a spiritual guru enlightenment, and I really recommend following her on Instagram and following her website. She's an amazing woman and a healer and holder of space. She told me one of the greatest wisdoms that I still follow and have in my heart to this day, and that there's one thing in this planet that will not ever lie to you, and that is nature. Nature is, in its core and its being, is truth. All the animals in the universe, all the animals in this world and around us, all they're just doing is being what is inherent in them. They don't, there's no concept to many of these species of lying or untruth or not being themselves. And using that as a means to emulate that untruthfulness, if I were to make up a word for it, but to step closer to truth. And a lot of the time we have animal spirits that come to us in our dreams and come to us with messages. And I do believe that we have animals that pass over and do come back to us with guidance and wisdom, but it isn't necessarily about the wisdom or the truth about maybe, oh, you maybe shouldn't walk there, or, oh, you're going to be coming into some money, but inherent truths of needing more love in your life, or needing more to speak your truth, and let me offer my energy and surface to that invocation or that expression. And so a lot of the time we do have animals that come forward, but it's really more of for a certain ability to invoke in your own life. And generally that, I don't know, when animals come up in my life, that resonates a great deal. Hawks tend to follow me around quite a bit. I love hawks, and a particular, actually going back to the new year, I may have even told the story before, but it was maybe around January 4th, and I had nothing really planned that afternoon. And I decided to just kind of lay down on my couch and just embrace what I felt like this new year had in store for me. Because the previous 3 or 4 months that I had between September and December were some of the toughest months of my life, and trials and tribulations with that, but also positive growth too. For instance, in October, and I have those who have come, consistently would know this about me, but October, I performed my first wedding ceremony, and I was the presiding minister over two wonderful people who were expressing their love, who had been together for 15, actually like close to 20 years. And they were finally tying the knot, and they were like, okay, this, we really want to express our love for each other and in this commitment. We don't want really a religious ceremony. We want more something more spiritual. And but that same month, I led my first funeral service, and that was my dear grandmother, who passed away at 91, and her name's Rose. So every time I see roses, I think of her, of course. Or in my household, she's or my grandfather, I can hear in my head screaming Roseanne. But Rose was always the signifier of my grandmother, as well as those palm crosses that you get on Palm Sunday. She would, because she was devoutly Catholic, she would always pass those out to family and friends. And so I have quite a collection around in my home. But through that, I gave myself some time to reflect in early January, and I heard a thud out on the fire escape, and I go to investigate, and there is a hawk that had just caught a bird, a pigeon, on my fire escape. And I didn't know there were any hawks in my neighborhood. I live on the upper 148th and Broadway. So, but there is a lot of bird activity, pigeons mostly. But yeah, I didn't realize there was a hawk kind of circling and investigating what its next meal. But I just sat with that hawk. Of course, I felt bad for the pigeon, and I sent healing and light for that pigeon to transition quickly and have no pain. But I also sent energy and thanks and gratitude to the hawk that gave me a great deal of positivity, light, but also a big message. That perception of a hawk, that vision of a hawk, and that knowing, okay, whatever I have my eyes set to, I can accomplish, and I can grab with my talents and be able to bring it into myself, into my space. And so that was an invaluable lesson that nature gave me, that started my new year. Now, life didn't get easy, but it certainly added that extra layer of perspective. And I still think about it today of how, no, Terence, remember, if I have my doubts, no, remember the hawk. Remember what spirit provided in that message. Besides animals, the ground itself is an emitter of such great force and energy in our lives. And so I recommend, and I'm sure maybe Jamaica, you probably do this out a lot on the farm, is just throw off your socks and your shoes and start just wiggling your toes in the grass. And and maybe you do it, Rob, at Central Park or maybe the closest park to you. But I always take that opportunity to, when I'm in just this great piece of patch of grass, taking off my shoes and letting the ground do its work, and emitting that energy and that force that is essential to our bodies. We often forget about the word grounding. Hey, you got to ground yourself. You got to ground yourself. And we use it so much in spiritual work, we forget, oh, wait, we got to go to the source. Yes, we can ground ourselves with stones. We can ground ourselves with embracing ourselves. We can ground ourselves with meditation and envisioning earth around us. But really, the ultimate source is being just planting our feet on the ground and soil, dirt, and grass. And generally, I find that to be the most efficient, easy way. But you can even go a step further and not just plant your feet on the ground, but lay on the ground. Oh man, I work a very physical job outside of not Trader Joe's, but that's where I work outside of this. But out of the spiritual work, I do that as my 3D job. It doesn't do wonders to my back. And so laying on some flat earth and letting some grounding energy be absorbed really does wonders for healing and rejuvenating my back. So I just urge you both to take as much advantage of it as possible, and maybe even inspired to take a trip that has, of course, grown to become this trip where we are immersing ourselves in nature and taking full advantage of this gift that has been given to us. And that's another big lesson too, that we can spread to everyone else around us, is that it is a gift, and that we should treat it with that respect and that care. So,
Excuse me.
Tameki.
I went unexpectedly to a Unitarian Universalist church earlier today. I just felt pulled to, and I was coming back from the closest city, and I just want to read the quote that was the focus today, because
please do.
It's just super relevant to, I think, to what this is. And it says, our goal should be to live life in radical amazement. Get up in the morning and look at the world in a way that takes nothing for granted. To be spiritual is to be amazed.
Yeah.
And I think for me, living up here in Vermont, getting to go outside, and literally every day I look outside, and it's just, and when I get out there, it's so incredible. And I feel like when you take the time to ground yourself physically in nature, you really, I think that idea just becomes so much more accessible.
Yes. Oh yeah, totally. And most definitely the passage that you read is most definitely relevant to all this, because nature is just, I'm almost at times dumbfounded and awestruck. And it feels as though that that is the ultimate gift, is to be amazed.
Truly. Yeah. Thank you.
And it's chaos, but it's not just a chaos that has no design or no element of pattern or inspiration or expression. It's all of those things. There's a pattern, there's a design to it all that we can look to spiritually, and we can look to scientifically, and bring and incorporate all elements to it, mind, body, and soul. And so, yes, I just a friendly reminder to you to take advantage of all of that, whether you live in a city or you live in the country, because even sometimes living in the country, being kind of immersed in it all the time, you sometimes kind of lose sight of it or forget about it. But always having those moments, or that setting that time every week or every day to really embrace it and reflect upon it. And then, of course, Rob and I, being city slickers, trying to get as much of it as possible, as we're in this jungle of concrete. It's a little bit harder, but luckily there's a lot of resource for nature in New York City too, with our park system, which actually has the most square footage of parks than any major city in the United States. Probably a lot of it's Central Park. But if you want to get a little bit more distance from people, Fort Tryon Park is beautiful and gorgeous as well. And Rob, I know you're familiar with it, because the great Alex Murray's tree is there, and I haven't visited yet. So, but I plan to visit probably before I leave, just to say I'll see it when I come back. I'm not sure if it may be in bloom at this point.
Let me know when you're going up there. Maybe I'll join you.
Okay. Yeah, I'll let you know. Yeah, I'd love to for some company.
I was going to say also, well, the northern part of Central Park was less developed. I know going through that, but there's some parts of it that
Yeah,
doesn't.
you're right.
It feels like you're in the woods. It's like they just let it. That I think probably they just didn't want to invest more money into the park, which is great. Just let it natural. So.
And another resource too, the New York Botanical Garden up in the Bronx. That has been such an amazing place for me over the last couple of years. And I so much so that I want to give them my money, so I have a membership. But it's so accessible by Metro North, and so quick to get up there and then come back down. But it's very similar in the sense that it's a conservatory of nature, but they do let it kind of go wild a bit. And there are trails in the woods, and there's some natural and some man-made water paths that too are really just stunning. But anyways, yes, connect with nature. Before we get to our meditation, and it will be a brief guided meditation, I did want to begin relaxing our bodies for meditation through a technique that I've been doing some more research in. And you probably have heard of this technique before, and it has helped me a great deal.
I just want to add, I have a 6:00 Zoom appointment, so I'm going to have to leave a few minutes before that to just take a break.
Yeah, that's sure. If you wanted to head off at any point, Rob, be my guest. But but I appreciate the heads up. So this technique has done great deals of reducing a lot of the stress and anxiety in my own personal life, and anyone that's human goes through all that. So you probably have heard of it as the EFT or EFT tapping, and it's essentially where at least the science behind it is you're tapping along the meridian points in your body. Or tapping at those points, and it helps with relaxation, de-stressor, reducing anxiety, and it has done a great deal of bringing, not only reducing the anxiety in my mind and my body, but also bringing in that self-love and that self-care. So EFT actually stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of that ourselves to just relax our bodies as we enter the space of meditation. So I just invite you to just get comfortable in a chair or seat, wherever. If you have to do some movements and some light stretching just to get kind of loose, I invite you to do that. Oh. And I work today, so I'm extra cracking the joints. Yep, just stretch the arms and the neck. Very important too, for a lot of that movement of that energy to spread out. Yes, and when you feel ready, let's begin by closing our eyes. And I like to tap with my pointer and my middle finger. I find that I can control the force the best, but again, this is emotional freedom technique. So whatever you feel comfortable with, but this is what I generally use. And let's begin just tapping the top of our head a bit, just all around. This is not only a meridian point in our body, but it's also our crown chakra. Maybe if you feel like you need more force, you can even use all your fingers, just kind of lightly tapping around the top of your head. I'll do that for a few moments. We got a lot of hair to get through too in this group. And then let's bring ourselves down to our eyebrow point and try to kind of center it really where the bridge of the nose and your eyebrows meet. And this is a great energy point, especially for us intuitive beings. We want that flow of energy going to our third eye to help us and guide us. And while you're doing this, you can just breathe naturally in and out and just let that stress kind of dissipate and be released with the tapping. And then let's go to the side of the eye, right at the kind of point where that you feel that bone around the eye socket. I even also tap on my temple too, and that helps a great deal in relaxing, especially if you have a headache. But not too hard. It's a little tender there. And let's move down underneath the eye. And you feel that bone around the eye socket. I'm just lightly tapping there. And then we'll move down under our nose. And this is directly beneath the nose, above the upper lip. So pardon me if it sounds weird when I'm talking. And then let's move from the under our nose to the area just below your lip and above the chin. And this is the chin point here. You can do it even with one hand. I don't know, something about the rhythm of two hands feels better to me, but that doesn't mean that you can't or have to do that either. All right, and then let's move down to our collarbone. And that is like, you want it right kind of towards the center, a little inch away from that center point in your chest. And you're feeling that collarbone, and we want to just tap there. And you can even use all your fingers if you want. And sometimes switching up the hands too, because I'm a righty. Sometimes forget about my left. And from there, let's go under our arm, which is about, you want to do 4 inches underneath the armpit. So right there, just tap. And it's almost like you're giving yourself a hug too in a bit. Let's tap there for a little bit. And let's do some breaths in and out. Really let that relaxation take hold. And then I'll end with one last one before we move on to our guided meditation. And I really like the feeling of this one. This one's an additional one that I found that I really like, and the tapping. And yeah, you will have to trade hands, but tapping the side of your hand here, like this. But even the palm too, being a really important part of our body. But right here, where do we ever touch this muscle? Probably never. And that's why we're giving some importance and some energy to it right now. And you can kind of feel the vibration in your fingertips. And let's switch hands to the other one. Right on the side there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then the last thing, let's just tap all over our bodies, because I find that this freedom technique should have some freedom. So tap all over your face, tap over your body and chest, neck. All right. Whew. Warm and relaxed. We've tapped ourselves out. I'm allowed to make that joke. All right. Let's prepare ourselves for a brief meditation. Of course, Rob, you can head out whenever you want. No pressure. You can kind of see the behind the scenes. All right, now I will probably need you just all to give me a thumbs up if the sound's okay. Y'all hear it okay? All right, if you haven't done so already, just close your eyes and breathe in and out deeply, in and out, focusing on that sacred cycle of drawing breath into our bodies and absorbing what we need, and the excess of what we don't need going out of our bodies and feeding the vegetation around us. That beautiful cycle of nature. Just with every breath, begin to just let your body, your muscles relax and fall. Your arms and shoulders drop. As your arms fall to your side, or have them gently resting on your lap. And we've already relaxed our bodies and our minds a great deal with this expression, tapping along the meridian points in our body, but also showing ourselves care and love being the biggest message from this technique. Let's go deeper in this space of relaxation. Quiet our minds, any thoughts or worries. The sound of the outside world becomes drowned out. And all you're focusing on is the sound of my voice, the gentle vibration, the tones playing in the background, and your gentle breathing in and out, in and out, in and out. And while in this space of quiet and deep relaxation, begin to feel the seat beneath you disappear. You feel floating. In light, weightless, no longer being weighted by gravity, no longer being weighted by its heaviness and the heaviness it sometimes feels being on this plane. But you're in a space of lightness and of pure light. And while floating, the room around you begins to fade away. And you're surrounded in light. Beautiful, bright light. And while in this space of light, begin to feel the presence of loved ones, spirit guides, even the presence of past lives present here before you, around you. They step all forward. Their arms and hands placing placing it over their hearts. And you see a bright smile from all of them, expressing their love and gratitude and healing towards you. For being on this plane, for going through your journey, embracing the challenges, and giving yourself the many gifts that are within us and surround us. They remind you of these gifts, whether it be the trees outdoors, the grass beneath your feet, the intellect of your mind, creative force bestowed to just you, uniquely yours, and always will be. Your vision and perception of the world around you, and your ability to see things that others don't. And a voice to bring those things attention. All these gifts that have been bestowed upon us. We are being given gratitude for utilizing them as much as we have at this point. These loved ones and spirit guides and past lives step further closer and closer and closer till they all surround you in a large circle. You see the first row, but you also see the heads and legs and limbs of the many layers of guides and loved ones on the other side surrounding you. As you are floating there in the center of this circle, they all extend their hands to you and place it on a point of your body. Some have the feet and ankles. Some have the legs and hips. Some the stomach and the heart and the neck and the shoulders and arms. And the third eye and the head and the neck. Everywhere on your body is being touched by a guide or a loved one. So you are just covered with fingertips and hands and palms, a beautiful light with loved ones. And while in this space, they begin to send white light of healing through their hands and fingertips to you, to be absorbed and to take hold into your body. I will leave you in this space for a moment so that you may absorb as much of this light that is being given to you. And I will just be back in just a moment. Now your body has been filled with this light from those that truly know and love you. Very much like the family and friends that surround you on this plane. They too look over you, watch you, and protect you. And you feel that pride and that love from them as one by one, they gently give you a pat or gentle caress or squeeze of affection, and then remove their hands and move slowly backwards and fade away into the light. One by one, their hands are removed. You still feel the light that was given within you. You feel ultimate love around you. Of course, before they really leave, they look back, give you a smile and a wave or a gesture of affection or love. They go back into the light, one by one, until it's just you, until you are just a single being in this space of light, having been filled with it, having absorbed all of it, being surrounded all around you with it. You feel calm and soothed. You feel truth. You feel serenity. You feel grounded. And begin to feel the slowly coming down from this floating feeling. Come to rest in a chair beneath you. A light around you fades away as though a cloud dissipating. Noise of the outside world gently comes back into your ears. You still feel that love, that light that you absorbed into your body. And when you are ready, you may open your eyes and return. And now it's just the two of us. So it was nice having Rob and his energy with us for as brief as it was, or ever long. Before I close service, I have a few announcements, but I will give them to you if you're curious about them, Jamaica. So I'm going to share my screen one more time. I still feel that music is going on. Yes, it is. You get to see what I was listening to and everything. Jamaica, that I have recently felt this urge to be a ally to our furry friends and allies, and so I've selected this really amazing charity nonprofit. They're called Puppy Kitty NY City, and it's really these two amazing ladies that go all around the greater New York area. They're based in Middle Village, Queens, and they trap and do a lot of spading and neutering of strays, but they also do a lot of medical care of these strays. and it's a lot of the time I follow them on Instagram. It's very, at times, severe injuries that these strays have. And of course, they do a lot of rehabilitating and bringing in animals, and they do a lot of also fostering and finding homes for these strays. They do as much as they can, but it is a small facility, and it's really just it's them and some volunteers, but they're a really great organization, and they have so many ways of donating that I really recommend. I do their Patreon service, which is, and you can do of different levels. I do, the $15 or $20 one, which is generally takes care of food or whatever bills that they have. But there's, of course, different degrees, or you could do one-time donations. I know they're doing some more, they're always doing some fundraising for a cause, but yeah, completely nonprofit. I had a nice, really interaction via email with this woman, and she was happy to have the more attention on their organization, because they could use all the help they can get for the animals. And there's a lot of strays here in New York City. It's not just cats, it's dogs. Guinea pigs seem to be an epidemic. Stray guinea pigs that people just leave on the side of the road or in a park somewhere, and their whole motto is that they try to save and provide care to as many animals as they can. And so they have been doing that for the last 4 years, and they're, just a great organization. So most definitely tell your New York friends, or even if you feel like you got some extra, 20 cash or 20 bills, $20 bills or some cash lying around, send it to them. And if you're looking for a cause. But yeah, I also recommend, if you're on Instagram, following them there at Puppy Kitty NYC. So some other events coming up. Of course, I will be gone and away from New York City for 2.5 weeks. So don't expect to see my face on the next several services, but we have the amazing Reverend Elise Claire, who's going to be the resident Reverend and psychic medium for the month. And she will be guiding us through, with messages on June 7th at 7 p.m. And of course, those who care to give messages, they're welcome to during that service. And then we did schedule a Father's Day service, but we're going to move that service to June 25th due to conflict of scheduling. But we felt like, let's give the fathers a day of some rest, and we'll move this service to June 25th at 5 p.m. And this will be Reverend, of course, Elise Claire, guiding us through prayer, but also her topic of a very appropriate topic of how to utilize the masculine within us, the masculine energy that's found in all of us, and utilize that power for good in our own what serves us and our purposes. And so she'll be looking at a lot of those elements of the father energy, the masculine energy throughout time, and how we can harness that energy, and not just for men biologically, but non-binary and women as well. We all have this within ourselves, both that feminine and that masculine energy. And then, of course, we have our monthly message circle, and this one's going to be really amazing. It's going to be Elise Claire and Kenya Hall, really amazing psychic mediums joining us. And if you wanted to join, you could just email us at info@opendoorwaybrooklyn.com with, of course, your first and last name and which circle you want to sign up with, because we do have another circle coming up in person in New York at June 23rd And that's actually with Elise and myself and Janet Harriton. And so, yeah, if you email info@opendoorwaybrooklyn.com with your first and last name and which circle that interests you, somebody that my father will be probably the one facilitate any of that transaction. He's being the secretary behind the scenes of all that is going on. So, of course, you get the newsletters and the links for the services if you care to join. All right, so one last thing before we conclude our service today, I'm going to say just our benediction. And I always like to read off the prayer of spiritual healing as our send off to whatever the day holds ahead of us. I will, of course, share my screen one more time.
Also, by the way, I was actively listening to you and speaking the whole time, and I was muted. So I was actually very engaged with you for the last bit of time. But
I'm sure whatever you had to say was fascinating, Jamaica. But I haven't. I may be a psychic, but I haven't gotten to the telepathy part. But of course, you're more than welcome to join me in saying this prayer of spiritual healing together as we close. All right, we ask the great unseen healing force to remove all obstructions from our minds and bodies, and to restore us to perfect health. We ask this in all sincerity and honesty, and we will do our part. We ask this great unseen healing force to help both present and absent ones who are in need of help, and to restore them to perfect health. We put our trust in the love and power of Spirit. Amen.
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 Thank you so much, Terence.
Oh, wasn't this great?
It was so good for me. I loved this.
It was an great. Intimate service, but
exactly.
But made
I love an intimate service.
Yeah, it made it much more. It just made, not to say that more people makes it less relaxing, but it's always nice to have these like nice, more kind of.
I love.
More freeing.
Yeah, it was so nice, and I've been craving, and I've been hearing the calling, and so it